in the mortuary.
Is that it?
Is that what?
We only just met. We're going to go look at a flat.
Problem?
We don't know a thing about each other. I don't know where we're meeting. I don't even know your name.
I know you're an army doctor and you've been invalided home from Afghanistan. I know you've got a brother who's worried about you, but you won't go to him for help because you don't approve of him, possibly because he's an alcoholic, more likely because he recently walked out on his wife. And I know that your therapist thinks you're limp psychosomatic, quite correctly, I'm afraid. It's enough to be going on with, don't you think? The name's Sherlock Holmes and the address is...
Brilliant! Yes! 4 serial suicides and now a note. It's Christmas. Mrs. Hudson?
Got anything? Need anything you got?
Victim is in her late 30s, professional person going by her clothes and guessing something in the media, going by the frankly alarming shade of pink. Travelled from Cardiff today, intending to stay in London for one night. It's obvious from the size of her suitcase.
Suitcase?
Suitcase, yes. She's been married for at least 10 years, but not happily. She's had a string of lovers, but none of them knew she was married.
Oh, for God's sake, if you're just making this up...
Her wedding ring, 10 years old at least. The rest of her jewellery's been regularly cleaned, but not her wedding ring. State of her marriage, right there. The inside of the ring is shinier than the outside. That means it's regularly removed. The only polishing it gets is when she works it off her finger. It's not for work. Look at her nails. She doesn't work with her hands. So what, or rather, who does she remove her rings for? Clearly not one lover. She'd never sustained the fiction of being single over that amount of time, so more likely a string of them. Simple.
It's brilliant. Sorry.
Cardiff?
It's obvious, isn't it?
It's not obvious to me.
Dear God, what is it like in your funny little brains? It must be so boring. Her coat is slightly damp. She's been in heavy rain in the last few hours. No rain anywhere in London in that time. Under her coat collar is damp too. She's turned it up against the wind. She's got an umbrella in her left-hand pocket, but it's dry and unused. Not just wind, strong wind. Too strong to use her umbrella. We know from her suitcase that she was intending to stay overnight, so she must have come a decent distance, but she can't have travelled more than 2 or 3 hours because her coat still hasn't dried. So, where has there been heavy rain and strong wind within the radius of that travel time? Cardiff.
It's fantastic.
Do you know you do that out loud?
Sorry, I'll shut up.
No, it's fine.
Why do you keep saying suitcase?
Yes, where is it? She must have had a phone or an organizer. Find out who Rachel is.
She was writing Rachel.
No, she was leaving an angry note in German. Of course she was writing Rachel. No other word it can be. Question is, why did she wait until she was dying to write it?
So how do you know she had a suitcase?
Back of her right leg, tiny splash marks on the heel and calf, not present on the left. She was dragging a wheeled suitcase behind her with her right hand. Don't get that splash pattern any other way. Smallish case, going by this spread. Case that size, woman this clothes conscious. Could only be an overnight bag, so we know she was staying one night. Now, where is it? What have you done with it?
There wasn't a case.
What are you doing?
Nicotine patch. Helps me think. Impossible to sustain a smoking habit in London these days. Bad news for brain work.
It's good news for breathing.
Ugh, breathing. Breathing's boring.
Is that 3 patches?
It's a would panic.
Have you talked to the police?
4 people are dead. There isn't time to talk to the police.
So why are you talking to me?
Mrs. Hudson took my skull.
So I'm basically filling in for your skull?
Relax, you're doing fine. Well?
Well, what?
Well, you could just sit there and watch telly.
Well, you want me to come with you?
I like company when I go out, and I think better when I talk aloud. Skull just attracts attention, so...
Are they just for my hip? They're herbal soothers.
Shut up, everybody! Shut up! Don't move, don't speak, don't breathe. I'm trying to think. Anderson, face the other way. You're putting me off.
What? My face is?
Everybody quiet and...
Relaxing. Rachel is not a name.
Then what is it?
John, on the luggage there's a label. Email address.
Jenny.pink@mephone.org.uk.
I've been too slow. She didn't have a laptop, which means she did her business on her phone. So it's a smartphone. It's email enabled. So there was a website for her account. The username is her email address, and all together now the password is...
Rachel.
So we can read her emails, so what?
Anderson, don't talk out loud. You lower the IQ of the whole street. We can do much more than just...